Hey guys, Erin here. We're continuing our series where we are breaking down the key things that you need to know about each of the CPA exams to set yourself up for success and maximize your chance of passing these things on your next try. These are all critical components and things that you need to be aware of as a test taker that are going to make a huge difference and potentially impact the way that you plan your study approach and your review approach and plan out your timeline. So all these things are really important that you know and are aware of from the very beginning, and that they're not just something that you discover halfway through your study process. So today we're going to be talking about BEC. Now, the thing with BEC is that a lot of people don't really give it the credit it deserves. It sort of has this reputation of being the easy one, a no big deal, just pin that on last, or maybe start with that one so that you kind of ease yourself into the process. While that some of those things are true, it is a good way to get started because it is the least amount of content of any of the exams. So it is like a nice little on-ramp to your studying compared to jumping into the deep end with something like FAR, for example. It's not something to take lightly. It still has its own unique challenges, just like all of the other exams. And I have seen it more than a couple of times where someone has left this one for the end thinking, oh, it's the easy one, I'll do it, when I'm burned out and over studying, and it'll be the last thing I have to accomplish. And then it's the thing that holds them up from, getting their license. And potentially, if they can't pass it, then they end up losing credit. So I don't want that to happen to you. Okay, here are the three things that you need to know about BEC. Number one, it is what I consider to be a variety pack. You know those variety packs of chips that you can buy at Costco, and there's like Cheetos and regular chips and barbecue chips and everything else? That's what BEC is. It's kind of like the junk drawer. It's the thing that captures all the content that doesn't really have a logical place in any of the other exams. While that's maybe not a challenge necessarily for some people, for others, if you're a really logical thinker, or you do really well in an exam like regulation where it's all under the umbrella of tax and business law, you're not going to have that with BEC. So it's a little bit disjointed. You've got really unique content areas. And for some, the challenge that poses is that you may find yourself being very strong in one or more areas, and also at the same time have others that are significantly weaker. So the key thing to know is just going into it expecting that this one is going to be a little bit all over the place. There's really unique, very distinct content areas from econ to cost accounting. Those things have very little to do with one another, and yet they're both on this exam. So know that it's going to be a little bit of a variety pack, a little bit all over the place, and plan accordingly. I recommend going through and kind of flipping through the content ahead of time to see where you might need to spend a little bit more time. Maybe you're really comfortable on the economic side and actually need to invest more time on things like cost accounting. Again, from a planning perspective, those are really important things for you to know so that you can make the most of your study time. The next thing to know is that this one, of all of the exams, maybe FAR would probably be next in line, but of all of the exams, this one is going to be particularly formula driven. Lots and lots of formulas, lots of calculations on this exam. They have adjusted the number of questions that you have, so we know that calculations take more time. There's the fewest number of multiple choice questions on this exam. For that reason, we know that it takes a little bit longer. You need to be able to finish it in 4 hours. If you'd like to see all the formulas all in one spot, make sure you click the link below. I've included a place where you can download our BEC formula guide. Super helpful. It's just having them all in one place is kind of nice. So make sure you grab that. So lots of formulas, lots of calculations on this one. Make sure you are familiar with those formulas. I don't recommend trying to memorize all of them. It's simply too many. Go through and try to understand as many of them conceptually as you can. And the ones that don't really logically make sense to you, make sure to memorize those ones. Okay, finally, unique challenge with BEC is the writing component. This is the only exam that you're going to see an actual writing submission as part of your second half, your simulation half of the exam. While they're not very heavily weighted from a scoring perspective, I think that they're easy points if you kind of know what to do and what they're looking for. The most important part, of course, is that you can get to the right answer. So how you're going to prepare for that is obviously studying the content, being familiar with it, being able to not just answer a multiple choice or select something from the drop down, but actually formulate your own thoughts and conclusions with regard to some of this content. I absolutely recommend going through, just like you would practice simulations, go through and practice some of those writing practice questions to see what you would normally write and to compare that or reconcile that with the suggested solution that they provide you in your study materials. That way you've got a good idea of what kind of level of detail, how much extra fluff are they looking for, what's the format that they're looking for, etc. They are going to be grading for format. They're going to be grading for some of your like elementary essay writing skills, like having a conclusion, having an intro sentence, having well-formed paragraphs and supporting information. All of those things are really critical. And then finally, they do look for keywords. So that's another thing that you can learn and sort of practice and get more comfortable with by doing some of the practice writing examples that are provided for you in your study materials. So the 3 things with BEC Variety Pack. Know it, love it, just know that that's what it is. Number 2, lots of formulas and calculations. Make sure you grab our formula guide down below. Number 3, the writing section. While it's not worth many points, weighting wise, it is easy points to gather up and they all count. They all go to the same spot. They all get you closer to that 75. So absolutely carve some time out of your setting to do a few practice written compositions. That's it with BEC. Stay tuned for our next video, and best of luck.